And you ended up on the outside because you made the decision to get out.
Yep.
And
I'm a quitter.
Yeah, the joke is in the SEAL teams, if no matter what you've done or how long you've been in for, if you ever get out of the SEAL teams, you're a quitter. So that's what they tell you. So you decided to get out, pretty much based on your family, right?
Yeah, I got out. I'd already had a failed marriage. I have a son that's here in California that I don't ever get to see because his mom is awesome. And, I met Amanda, and she's the love of my life. She's amazing. She deals with me and deals with me very well.
I give her big props for that.
Absolutely.
Nice work, Amanda.
Yeah, she's, you watch the movie 300, the Queen.
Yeah.
That's her.
Right on.
100%, And, she was going to move to San Diego with Aiden, and I was super fired up about that. And then she was pregnant. I'm like, okay, cool. Still happening. And then pregnant with twins. She's like, nope. I'm not leaving mom in my support group. I remember I was so mad. And it caused a lot of issues because I held on to that anger longer than I should have, And I was just so angry and upset. But now that I look at it, she's a small town Mississippi girl.
Yeah.
I mean, she's gorgeous. She's awesome. But she's a small town girl. And sometimes we're back home, she'll be driving. She's like, hey, you can drive, because she doesn't want to drive in the traffic on, the main roads. And I think about that. I'm like, that's like no traffic here in San Diego. So it wouldn't have been fair. And then all of a sudden it's like for me to expect her to move to San Diego with Aiden and I'm taking him away from his dad. So that wasn't really fair, and I could relate to that. And, her parents are awesome. So then all of a sudden, her friends, she has a good support group. And it's like, I was just like, man. And a couple of things didn't work out when I had screened. I had another surgery when I was out. I just took it as, hey, this is maybe the time I need to move on. It's a good chapter in my life, an amazing chapter that I'll never forget. And it's very important. It's who helped mold me as a man. But I absolutely was not going to be there for Amanda and the kids, and so I got out, and there's a lot of guys that are upset about that in the teams, and
talking about me,
yeah, you and a couple other guys, a couple other guys that are still active, but so I got out, and it was a rough transition. You go from I'm born and raised in Sacramento, California, and lived in San Diego my whole life, lived in San Diego the whole time in the Navy. And then I'm in North Mississippi. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Man, you talk about culture shock. It's cool to go visit. I used to always love when we go out there for work. But you're leaving after 2 weeks. And now all of a sudden I'm living there. And it was just nothing bad with the South or where I live. It just, for me, it was a huge change. And I go from being a SEAL to now I'm doing sales at a financial job, a financial company, which of course I get after it because that's just, I have to provide for your family, but just the transition. And I made the mistake of not reaching out to people and asking and helping, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, one of my boys who's still in, Los, go by his little nickname. And I did reach out to him a couple times and he was real solid. He would reach out to me. He'd be like, hey man, how you doing? How is JP really doing, And I'd talk to him about stuff. He's like, man, that's not good, bro. Like, we need to, whatever. And there's times where he's like, all right, well, you just know what you need to do. And, Chucky, same thing. Chucky would reach out to me as well. And he'd come out there for training and he'd come over and hang out with the family and the kids. Right. He's my boy, And so I found a gym and a new MMA gym was opening up like right around the corner from the house. And I was like, oh,
boom.
Yes. You know what I mean? And came really close with a couple of guys, Jake and Zach Underwood. They're actually from Union City, same city Aaron Vaughn was born and raised in. Oh, right on. So they already knew about him. And I didn't tell them what I did. They had no idea what I did. And I was like, yeah. They're like, Union City. I was like, oh, cool, I know Aaron Vaughn. And they're like, how do you know Aaron Vaughn? I'm like, oh, we used to work together. Like, well, what do you mean you used to work with them? And I told them, like, what? Oh, cool. And, a couple other fighters from the gym, Joe Pass Andy and Teddy, like just my boys, like out there. They became they became my team guy buddies out there. Like they're cut from the same cloth as us, and just down to earth guys that legitimately they have my back out there. And it was weird because I never really explained much to them about my time in the teams, but they knew I was having a hard time transitioning. And they were just there for me. They're just there at the gym. They'd push me to my limits. They're like, hey, you're going to start fighting. I'm like, awesome. And so, I have 7 amateur MMA fights and just a challenge of cutting weight and just training with the boys and sparring. And, I do it as a stress reliever, which is funny,
sure.
Because like you watch some of my YouTube videos and the announcers is like, yeah, and Jeremiah Patrick says he trains as a stress reliever. That's unique. Like they don't know how to they don't know how to react to it because everyone else is like, I want to be the next UFC champion and I had a horrible life and I hate my parents and I'm just, I'm like, yeah, I have an awesome life. I make really good money and I just want to have a little stress reliever. It's funny.
Nice.
I wasn't fighting to turn pro because I need to make money. I was just like, there's my stress reliever. And it was being around guys that were like-minded again.
Fighting.
Yes.
Fighting is fun. And sometimes if you can't get a machine gun to fight with, it's fun to fight with your fists.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, it's part of your instinct as a human.
Yeah. Oh, it should be.
Well, yeah, if it's not. Yeah, I mean, I guess for some people it's not, but for the people that I know, it's part of their instinct as a human.
Yeah. You should be able to defend yourself.
You want to be able to fight, You
should.
I mean, you watch little kids, little 6-year-old, 7-year-old kids.
After it.
You bring any random 6-year-old or 7-year-old boy into a jiu-jitsu place and put them on a room with padded walls and padded floor, and you say do whatever you want, they're going to end up attacking each other. That's the way it works.
That was my daughter's, I got them in jiu-jitsu 2 weeks before they turned 3.
Nice.
And it was most of the owners of the gym. And Joel, he's a former Team 1 guy. He's a part owner of the gym. He's a 5-time world champion in, I believe it's gi, 4-time world champion, no gi.
Nice.
I don't think he's had 1 point scored on him in the last 5 years.
Dang, dude.
Yeah,
That's
solid.
savage.
Just bringing the team guy reputation into jiu-jitsu world, And
That's
people
sick.
are just
Who is it?
Joel Gendry.
I don't know.
Team 1. Dude, he's so solid.
How old is he?
He's 50-something.
How the hell do I not know him? He must have been the teams are the same. I mean, I was at Team 1 for like 8 years.
Maybe it's when you went to the East Coast.
Huh.
I don't know. Anyway, super solid guy.
I remember you when you started fighting.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm gonna fight. Because you sent me text too.
Yeah.
And you sent me a text like, hey, I'm starting to train. And then like a month later, you're like, dude, I'm getting into it. And then a month later, you're like, bro, I can't believe I didn't train with you all the time. Because you and I used to train occasionally. But like, I'll train with anybody anytime. And you would train with me like once a month when you could have been training with me 7 days a week. And
I was furious.
Yeah, I was laughing inside, and I was also pissed. And I was like,
I tell people that I'm like, yeah. So I basically could have been doing jiu-jitsu since 2005 with Jocko.
Yeah,
and people are like, what? I'm like, yeah, I could have, but I guess I never really got the taste. I like to stand. I don't know. I'm an idiot. That's why I did it. I'm just an idiot.
Actually,
and then
you called yourself an idiot when you were talking about your youth before, and I realized that when I bring team guys on here, when they talk about like their past, the term idiot comes up all the time. I know I do it. I'm like, I was an idiot.
Yeah.
And Tony's like, I was an idiot. It's just like classic,
Well, I mean, like, and then when I tell people like, yeah, since 2005 with Jocko, I could have been rolling and training all the time. And then when you opened your gym, guys like Echo and his brother and Dean Lister and you. No, I was there, but I was always doing the stand-up stuff.
Oh.
And I was doing jiu-jitsu just to do jiu-jitsu. I didn't do any of the MMA stuff, Now I look back and I just legitimately get upset about it sometimes. And I'll tell people like, yeah, I could have done. And they're like, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? I'm like, they're like Jocko, Dean Lister, and like it's just whatever. I mean, hey, everything happens for a reason. I mean, I've done pretty well so far. I'm 6-1, and the guys out there are solid. Solid coaches.
You felt good last night.
Yeah,
because we trained last night.
And I hadn't done anything in like 16 months.
Yeah.
I had that injury. And I went into my last fight. My coaches were like, dude, I'm pulling you. And Joel, dude, he's such a legit badass, just tough. Like, people are terrified of him. But he has the other side that people don't realize team guys have, where he's like, hey, I'm pulling you from this fight. Like, I can't let you get hurt. You know, like the nurturing, like you got to take care of your boys. Because I went into it with a facial fracture from here down to here. All these teeth are still numb from it. I had a deviated septum, crushed sinuses, and a herniated disc in my neck.
What'd you do? Get in a fight with a bear?
Yeah, sparring Teddy Holder,
Oh,
you know, who knocked out Thiago Silva.
Dang.
Yeah, that's one of my boys. And Andy Uruk, Bellator fighter. Zach, all these guys. I mean, just they get after it, you know. And
I hope they get after it a little bit less in your sparring sessions from now on.
Yeah, we learned that. Well, and also it was pretty.
That's old school, man. I'm telling you right now. That is old school. You don't need to spar like that.
No,
and
we know that.
Shouldn't spar like that.
You know, and the guys have changed it up. Guys have legitimately changed it up because guys were getting knocked out in fights. And anyway, we can talk. That could be a whole nother podcast. But they really changed it up. And so, but I, you know, when I got the call for that fight, I'd fought not too close before that with this guy, a tough guy. You know, ours was like a grudge match. You know, everyone thought we hated each other, and you know, we sold so many tickets, it was insane. Like we each sold over 110 tickets.
So you're like the Conor McGregor of amateur fighting.
The Conor McGregor amateur fighting in the Mid South. The Mid South thinks it's like the next big thing, and it's like, you know, and so. So anyways, me and that guy, Danny Shell, good guy. You know, he's awesome, dude. He really is a really good guy, you know what I mean? Right, but we'd get after it on social media just to, you know, just because we're bored, I guess. And but it came down, you know, we had a tough fight, you know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, it was awesome. Like you watch it, and we're just.
What weight do you fight at?
I fought anywhere between 170 to 205. My first fight.
What are you walking around at right now?
215.
Nice.
Not nice. Not a good 215.
I try to be gentle over here.
No, that's fine. You don't have to, you know. But my first
bastard.
Yeah, exactly. Hey.
You used to walk around like in TJ Bruiser. You were like 185.
No, that was my heaviest. Like I couldn't break 185. Like I was trying to like do like all the bodybuilding lifts, like get as big as I could. And I could never break 185. And then my dad's like, "Dude, wait until you get your 30s." I'm like, whatever. He's like, "Oh, okay," because your body has legitimately done everything mine has at every age increment, and then you get big. But my first fight, I fought at 205, but I only weighed 190 because I was going to fight at 185 for my first fight. But that's why I normally don't go by Jeremiah Dinnell on like social media, because guys started Googling Jeremiah Dinnell. You know, I testified against Jesse Ventura with the whole Chris Kyle thing and whatnot. So you Google Jeremiah Dinnell, there's a bunch of Navy SEAL stuff out there. And so that's why I changed my Facebook page to Jeremiah Patrick, just because, you know, fighters would look that up. I had like my coaches were like, they didn't want to tell me. And I knew there was something weird with Jake and Zach and my dad. Like I knew there was something going on. My fighter backed out.
Oh.
And then they were trying to find like another fighter, and then he backed out. I think it was like 2 or 3 guys. I had sold on my first fight over 100 tickets also. Like I had people flying in from California, driving out, drive from East Coast, West Coast, Washington. You know, my aunt and uncle were flying out. It's like first amateur fight. This is ridiculous, right? Should have just traveled somewhere where
this better be a good show.
Exactly.
I flew out from Washington, son.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I remember telling my buddy Jake, I'm like, dude, I don't care if it's a heavyweight. Get me a fight. Like, I can't not fight. You know what I mean? Like, all right, we'll find. So I found some good. He had a good amount of fights already, and like he cut down to 205, and I weighed in with flip flops, my cut off cami shorts, all my stuff in my pockets at 191, and it was awesome. It was good. Good little first fight. Got myself way too amped up for it. You know, I should have just gone in.
That one's on video, right? Yeah, I think you sent it to me.
Yeah, I sent you everyone. Yeah.
I was looking at him.
The second round.
I was looking at that fight, and I'm like, yes, this is the JP that's extremely amped right now.
I finished him in the second round. TKO in the second fight. Finished that guy in the first round. Third fight, which was hilarious. They had me as the main event on this card for the third fight.
That's what you get when you're selling 100 tickets.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, we'll put you in the main event.
Yeah, that's not good for adding just unneeded stress.
Well, you know what? No kidding. Like in watching your fights and everything, you do have you have this anyways, but you have like a level of charisma that makes people want to watch you fight because you're just fired up and you have a good level of charisma. It's like you're like, I compared you to Conor McGregor jokingly, but it's a reality. If you watch some of your fights, it's like, I could see in the Mid-South people going, I want to go watch Jeremiah Dinnell get after it.
Punch him in the face. Like, dude,
for sure.
You should come watch some fights in the South. It's hilarious.
Sell me some tickets, man.
I think I can get you a ticket, bro. But so the fights have been awesome. My fourth fight, I lost. I actually went into that fight. I was in the hospital, or not the doctors, in and out of the doctors, almost hospital like the week prior. I was cutting down to 170 again also, with hand, foot, mouth disease. And
is that your method of cutting weight? Get yourself hand, foot, mouth disease.
Dude, I would not recommend it at all. I had to take this medicine to numb my mouth and throat just to drink water. So it did help with cutting weight, except for it was horrible. Amanda was legitimately taking care of me, like everything. And she helps. She preps all my meals. I come home from the gym, and she.
But you've been out. You think you're gonna fight again?
Yes.
Check.
Gotta heal up. But yeah, it's been good.